Hello, good afternoon, or maybe evening where you are, and welcome. Thank you for joining today for Our Stories, Our Voices, FPCC's Fall 2025 online learning series. FPCC supports language, culture, heritage, and arts revitalization for BC First Nations. One of our offices is located in the village of Wachoflip, also known as Sartlip, near Brentwood Bay. We also have an office in Tk'emlúps, Secwepemc. I'm grateful to be here with you today. My name is Coralie Tonak, and I'm an arts program coordinator with the FPCC arts team, overseeing the music program. I am non-Indigenous from a settler family of German ancestry on my mom's side, and I'm calling in today from Snuneymuxw ancestral lands, known as Nanaimo, where I'm thankful to live. Please, as I was saying before, please feel welcome to share where you're joining in from and say hello in the chat. This year, the FPCC Arts program is hosting the online learning series, which is open to anyone involved in revitalization work to learn and be inspired by our webinar presenters. Today's session will be about an hour and a half in length. There will be a presentation about an hour in length, followed by a question and answer period lasting about 30 minutes. If you have any questions during the presentation, please do put them in the Q&A feature, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. Questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. A reminder that your camera isn't on and the presenters can't see you and your mic is muted. You're welcome to share the reactions with the reactions button throughout. That button is at the bottom of your screen too. And the chat is open now. So today I'm so looking forward to hearing from Lindsay May Willie and Mike Sherritt. FPCC invited Lindsay and Mike to share their experience with community music revitalization, bringing music back to Ukwanalis, also known as Kinkum Inlet. In 2022, Lindsay reached out to the arts program to see if a community-led music gathering fit into any of our grant streams, and it did not. Lindsay shared her vision to plan a self-determined gathering for their community, inspired by a history of music presence that was at risk of disappearing, and a dream of bringing music back to Gwa'yi. Lindsay shared why the presence of music is important for the community and the challenges of bringing this idea to life in their remote location. In order for the FPCC music program to understand community needs for self-determined music revitalization and programming, a 3-year pilot program for community music revitalization with Nunwakala Cultural Society was established. The music program extended support in the initial planning, followed with regular coaching meetings and supported with resources such as project coordinator job description, job postings, and contract templates. Music program coaching calls included considerations for logistics such as power, transport, accommodation, and community protocols. We made space for Lindsay and her team to feel comfortable with starting small and building on this idea over time. I'll leave the story there for Lindsay to continue through to the 3rd and final year of the pilot. We're so grateful to have Lindsay and Mike here to share with us today. And I'll now turn it over to Lindsay and Mike to introduce themselves and today's session.
Béla Casla Coralie, Béla Castauchla, Gacha a Chus, Nuka Amiachid, Gayutlanlacha Muskamag Dzawada'enuxw, the Esenlach Awitna Gwa'yi Dzawada'enuxw, Lachu Ukwanalis. So welcome everyone. Thank you for your presence. My name is Lindsay Willie. I come from the Muskamag Dzawada'enuxw. We are in the land of the Dzawada'enuxw here in Ukwanalis, or on English maps, it's referred to as Kinkum Inlet. And I'll give it to you, Mike, to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name's Mike Sherritt. I'm incredibly honored to be here, just as I have been every step of this way. I was amazed that First Peoples would ask me to consider applying in the first place, and then from the first call with Lindsay, it was very easy to work with her, and very honored to even get to visit that location. So to be here sharing about our work is yeah, it's very moving to me, honestly. As I mentioned, my name is Mike. I'm from my lineage comes through my mom's side, Silkasco Nation up in Burns Lake, and my dad was Irish English through Ontario. Um, I didn't really have any of this coordinator. I've been a musician for 20 years, so for them to recognize that I might have a skill set that matches here has been very moving. And then I carried that into my role at BCAF as a workshop coordinator for gathering our voices. So it's been a really moving, beautiful journey to have encouragement from this team, and it means a lot to me. I'm joining you from the place I was born and raised, the territory of Nanaimo. So, yeah, just overjoyed to actually be part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'll share my screen now. I'm Lindsay, and I manage the Nunmakola Cultural Society here in Kingcome. Nunmakola works to revitalize and strengthen Dzawada'enuxw arts, culture, language, heritage. We do research, repatriation, language revitalization, arts revitalization projects, cultural historical information workshops, and with this music festival, we are working to strengthen community spirit. We are working to recenter Ukwanalis in our minds and our hearts and arts practices. So this presentation is going to be about our one-day music festival pilot project that we've had for 3 years now. We do one day of Music Fest, and then surrounding that, we do some musical and arts workshops. So we'll get to the practicality of that later, but I wanted to also start with talking about a deeper purpose of why we're doing this music festival here and now. We are doing this festival because it is bringing our tribes back together, our community back together, and our youth back home after a period of separation due to colonization. And it's a way for us as a society to exercise a community-driven approach as we support self-determination in our arts. Our goal is to keep our ancient village site alive. And so I'm going to start with a little bit of history of our 4 nations. Musgamag Dzawada'enuxw translates as the 4 tribes of the Dzawada'enuxw, or the 4 faces of the Dzawada'enuxw. And so the 4 tribes are named Dzawada'enuxw, Hachwatmis, Kwikosut'enuxw, and the Gwa'yi. And historically, we lived together and we worked together. We harvested and moved about our territory with fluidity. We had houses in each other's villages. We potlatched together in the winters, and we governed together as one. And so we really considered ourselves as one nation. And so if you look at this map, you'll see the 4 tribes. I'm just gonna move this little screen. I don't know if you can see my pointer, but this is where we are, Kingcome or Gwa'yi. So our village site is a little bit up from the mouth of the river, and then our watershed, our river goes up here, and the whole valley is called Gwa'yi. How do I change the page? Oh, there we go. So zooming into there, this is our traditional territory. The red line is our boundary line, I guess. And then you can see our river, and then our little villages here. So Ukwanalis is one of several ancient original village sites within our Gwa'yi River system. Our origin stories inform us that the Dzawada'enuxw have occupied Gwa'yi since the beginning of time. You can see how remote we are in these. Oh, hang on. these photos. If you want to come here, you have to get on either a float plane or a boat to travel to the mouth of the river. And then you hop on a little small river boat to take you to the beach of the village. Here's some more pictures. This is our river dock on this, our dock at the mouth of the river. And then here's our beach. And that's a little tiny river boat you got to get on. So to give a bit of background on like our story, or like we all have stories of how colonization interrupted our way of living. Our story of community separation started when the Canadian government set out to create reserves. So reserves, like how we saw our territory was this red line. And then if you see how they created the reserves for us, you can zoom in. I don't know if this will work on, oh yeah. You can see these tiny little yellow dots that they made reserves out of, and then told us we couldn't leave those reserves. So yeah, you can see the difference in opinion on where we were allowed to live and occupy. So a long story later, our 4 tribes had to pick where they wanted to live permanently. So they had to pick out of the village sites or the reserves. It became illegal for us to leave the reserve without permission. They attempted to get us to move out to Alert Bay so it was easier for the Indian agent to keep an eye on us so they could extract from our lands. The Hahwatmis were forced to move to Guilford. They no longer occupy their village site in Wakeman to this day. There's about 20 or so left in Guilford, and there's 1 part-time person in Higumps. And just to give a little like snapshot of my lifetime, I remember as a kid, we had way more people living here. Like you'd walk down the road and you'd always run into somebody and talk to them. Now I also heard it was like 300 people back then. And now we're down to 82 people. So people are leaving for jobs. Kids have to go out for high school. Families move out with their kids and they don't come back. And they leave for what the cities can offer that we can't here. Oh, not doing this slide. There we go. So it became illegal for us to gather. It was illegal for us to dance and sing. If we potlatched, we could go to jail. So luckily for us, in a way, we had our land was able to protect us for a bit longer than other places from being raided by the police. Our river would freeze each winter, so the police couldn't come up the river very fast. We would post lookouts down at the mouth of the river during potlatches, and they would send up a signal to the village so that everyone would have time to put everything away, hide our ceremonial objects before police came to raid us. We continued to potlatch, and others also came here to potlatch. We were able to maintain our ceremonies for longer. And then within these ceremonies lived our art style. We expressed our relationships to our beliefs, our worldview. We showed our stories and our relationships to other nations, appreciation for the animal kingdom, our environment, and it was all through our art style. Because of our physical separation, the 4 tribes' relationships has dwindled down to bare bones. We stay put for the most part still to this day in our reserves, and we are currently working to get through that invisible barrier and get out onto our territory again. This is Guilford, Gwa'yi stumps. I remember as a kid going past Guilford, we would have to boat out from Kincombe, go past Guilford to get to the city. And we would always stop in. My dad would take me to see some relatives, and we'd stop in and have some tea and cookies and visit before heading back out to the city. Now our knowledge of our family, like nowadays, the knowledge of our family ties has weakened. Now we have fast boats and we zoom past Guildford without stopping. For example, I didn't even know I was from Guildford until I was 28. I thought I was just from Kinkham because that's where my dad always lived and where I spent my time visiting or living with him. So that's kind of like over the generations, we've kind of lost that knowledge. Oh, yeah. So the effects on us due to the separation, our land use has diminished. The knowledge of our origin stories has diminished. Our knowledge of family ties has weakened as the generations come and go. Our 4 tribes now govern separately under the imposed Indian Act. We stay on our postage stamps still, like our little reserves. People move out for jobs and housing. High school kids leave and maybe don't come back. We're left with 82 people doing the work to keep a village alive, and it's not enough people. Many people here wear different hats so that we function, and we don't really have a lot of energy to do activities that bring us together as much. And then since COVID, it's gotten worse. I walk down the road now and I don't see anybody. So how then do we help this as a cultural society? How do we help our community and tribes connect? It is our culture to be together. It is important to revitalize that community spirit here, to bring people back home so that we are together. If we are together, then we can do cultural activities together. If we are apart, it's really hard to revitalize our culture. So how do we do that? Oops. Oh, there we go. So my Uncle Dick, he comes in to teach language here. He was telling us a story about a time he was a young guy and he went out of the house at night. He snuck out to go and look into the hall window where people were dancing and there was a live band and he would watch the dancing. And that triggered my memory of my aunties. They talk about that time when they remember going out and dancing and how everybody in the community would go out and they would all have a really good time together. It was just a normal part of their community culture at the time. And the way that they shared about this made it seem like it was so much fun. And everyone in the community would go and they would have a blast. So in order to bring people together and make Kinkham attractive to people and to provide a way for them to come home to be with us, we thought music festival. We did pause at first just because while a contemporary music festival may not be seen as cultural or traditional, to us it is. So first of all, we have the right to self-determination within our contemporary culture. To us, that looks like choosing what will work for us to bring our community together. We are using the music festival as a vehicle to repair the damage to our relationships with other tribes, our families, and community in a fun, no pressure, no Indian Act politic way. We just come together as community members and have fun together. And so we saw a grant that came out. First Peoples released a grant announcement and it was something to do with music. And we're like, well, maybe we could do this music festival with it. But when we asked about it, it didn't quite fit into what they had set out in that grant. But then they came back to us and they said, hey, wait a second, let's see what we can do. And so then we talked about having a music festival pilot for 1 year. And they offered $75,000 for us to do it. And they let us design all of it. So backing up, sorry, okay. I just wanted to throw this in because it's something I've been thinking about since this whole thing it has come up, and how art or music or any form of art, it to us, it serves a different function rather than kind of how the Western society views art in some ways. Generally, when I think of art, I picture myself picturing a pretty piece of nice decoration to display. It's been created to sell. The intention of it is just to put it on the wall and look at it and appreciate it, which is great. But I started to see like the intention of our art as being a little different. Back in the day, we always had some kind of meaning behind the art that we produced. So we created our songs to honor our relationships to others, the land, animals, creation stories, our dances. They depicted our origin stories as a way for us to remember them and as a way to show others who we are as a tribe or a family. It is a way to bring our ancestors in to witness through fire. The masks for our dances were created to carry the spirit of that story. It was a vessel. So, for example, we have to cover those masks or some of the masks because they are only meant to be alive during ceremony and then to be put away if they're not in ceremony. So they really are a vessel for spirit. Their purpose is to connect our ancestors or the supernatural to us in ceremony. So what I'm trying to say is that the intention behind the art or the manifestation that we create and shows our true culture because of the intention it carries. We have the right to self-determine what that is, even if it appears contemporary. The Music Fest holds our culture of being together as one. And that may look different for any other community. It's just how we see it. So then, what does self-determination look like in our arts? So yes, we're doing a music festival, but we aren't necessarily doing it in a way inspired by the Western culture, how they typically have their music festivals. For instance, we don't really sell tickets. We don't charge for boats. We don't hire the most fanciest bands who cost an arm and a leg to come. But we also are lucky that we have Mike Sherritt and the Alibis. They get to come in and play for us, and we are so lucky for that. We're careful with who we invite in. We invite artists who understand where they're coming to and the community values. We invite our tribes. We don't want worldwide exposure or news coverage. We just want to recenter our home. If we're the only audience in our tiny village, that's enough. That's what it used to be like, and it's valid. And we want our youth to be creating good memories when they're here so that they'll want to come back. Bringing back music by we're also bringing back our music by teaching music workshops. So a lot of people come out to these music workshops, and our hopes are that people will start to play instruments again and we can have a live band in the community again. A lot of our youth are coming out to these workshops. They're showing a lot of interest. It gives them the confidence to see the potential of being musicians. Last year, we also asked my Uncle Dick what kind of dancing he saw when he looked through the window in the hall, and he said jive. So we brought in a swing dance teacher, and we had Mike's band play live jazz, and everybody came out. And a lot of people tried dancing. Okay, so also self-determination looks like we were given the freedom by First Peoples Cultural Council to design our festival from the ground up. We had complete control. We ended up inviting our community to a dinner, and they chose everything about the music festival, from the title, how long it would be, what artists, when, anything they wanted to have input on, they were able to. We also had a lot of support from First Peoples. They offered us mentorship in hosting this kind of thing. And then of course we're really lucky to have Mike, because he's a musician and was able to, he knew what musicians needed to come in. Like, I had no idea what a backline was. I still really don't know, but he knows all that. And we're really lucky that we had the support from him. musician. And then the $75,000 budget we got, it wasn't like set out, you had to spend this amount on this and that amount on that. We were able to design our budget for what we really needed to bring everything here in this remote location. We had the flexibility to start small, like Coralie said. We didn't have all that pressure of making it a big event right away. We like just tested things out here and there the first year. We had the flexibility to make mistakes. And we are also bringing that musical capacity back to our youth in the community. I think that's, oh, don't look at that slide yet. I'll go to that one after Mike. So yeah, so now I'll turn it over to Mike, who's going to go through the logistics of everything and how we got everyone and everything here.
It's kind of like following a beautiful singer. Now you get to
Oh,
but
I gotta stop.
there we
There.
go. And now I'll share. Cool. Yeah, so I just want to start by maybe requesting everyone in their space to take a little time and think of where they were and at any event. Could be a big concert, motley crew, or it could be something small where you were just at a barbecue. But I want you to think of when you were held and you felt like you were part of the fabric of the event. That's kind of what comes back to the self-determination. It's the community is looking after each other, and with that spirit and everything that Lindsay just mentioned in the self-determination, that was really the driving force of anything. So anytime there was a question, the top of the bulletin board is community. It's about Equinalis. Equinalis. I apologize. I'm working on it. King come. Or no, I messed it up too. How come?
King.
All right, thank you. I'll come back. But yeah, that's the driving force of it. I know for myself, I'll share an example that I've been a huge Dave Matthews fan for a long time. And whenever I'd see him at the Gorge, it wasn't the same as seeing them anywhere else. And so because of where you were and because of who was there and because of that community, it became more than what was presented on stage. It became a festival and a really moving thing. And so from that world, the music world, and then everything that is way more important and appropriate for this today's conversation with the self-determination. That's really the driving force of what everything we tried to program. And now the nuts and bolts we can talk about of yeah, hopefully helping you do the same thing because it's crucial and it's amazing and it's a great feeling and you should all try it, which is maybe why you're here. So yeah, the vital role community. We had some workshops as Lindsay mentioned. We had and this was a really moving experience to be able to bring my band, who are very, very nice gentlemen. You can see my good friend Anatole there on the right. This third year there was youth chanting his name because they remembered the workshops that he did over the last couple of years. That meant the world to me and my band, to Andrew and Anatole, and just to know that we were leading with heart, and it was reciprocal. It was a really beautiful thing. So that was a workshop we did for a couple of years with FPCC coming through as always, and they donated instruments, that legacy instruments that we were able to leave in the community, and so kids are able to practice and play and together, and that's an incredible thought to think that we were able to leave something like that behind. Um, and then this year we had Coralie, the lovely Coralie, do some vocal workshops, and that was well attended. And you can see the picture. That's the reaction that people were giving her. It was a very fun workshop. We had a watercolor workshop hosted by the boss, Arlene, and she did inspired that elder to smile like that as well. And it was just a beautiful time to spend together before some of the music started. As Lindsay mentioned, we had Cody come in and do a swing dance workshop, and all those things are chosen and driven by the community. And Lindsay, you do a wonderful job of asking what should we do, and actually listening, which is probably more important, as my wife tells me. Um, So when you're choosing where to put your festival, there's some factors you're going to have to think about. Do you have a venue that's indoor? Because then maybe you don't have to think about the elements of the weather coming in, ruining the day. But if it's outside, as we were, we want to have some tents to keep all the equipment dry. We want to have some warmers and just everything that battles the elements. Sun, you want some shade. The uh, Sarigua,
Ah,
terrible Sarigua. I actually angle to have the festival
the horse.
later in the year so I don't get eaten alive by the Sarigua. And I've been given countless tips. And they were nice to me this year, Lindsay. The first 2 years I came home and was missing a toe. Um,
Yeah.
they eat you alive up there. But that's part of it. And when it comes down to like dusk and stuff, they go away and they do whatever they do. I don't need to know. I don't need to know what they do on their off time. I'm not hanging out with the Sarigua, but um, that's something that you need to factor. So we even talked about putting up some netting on the stage so you're not playing a chord and then slapping. Or people in the audience. We want to respect all that. So that's definitely an element that comes in. One of the key ones was actually sourcing power for the stage and for the lighting. Luckily, our sound man Dennis Johnson was incredible. We got him like probably within 2 weeks, right, of getting together. He was very quick. Maybe he was in their first meeting together, Lindsay. I can't remember, but
I think he was before you, actually.
oh well, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit. But yeah, no, he's been crucial. He's an electrician as well, so that was a very lucky bounce for us because we needed to actually rewire some things so we could get power to the stage from the location that we were at. We've been in 3 different locations too, so it's been a challenge each year. And the amount of cable that he was able to bring up, he's been a one-stop shop. So find yourself a dentist. That's the first tip: is find yourself a dentist who can help you with your stage and your sound. Other things you want to consider are your bathrooms. If there's some inside, that's great. If you need to get porta potties to wherever you are, then you got to consider that. Um, Having accessibility for everyone. Obviously a challenge landing the boats and doing that in Kincombe, but I think we do a pretty solid job of supporting each other and helping elders on and off the boats. Um, Green rooms for the artists so they can not sound like me. They can be all nice and full, have their vocal warm-ups. Um, the seating, again, if you have seating built in, if you can pull out some bleachers and stuff, that's great, but you may need to source some chairs. And all this stuff comes into your budget, which I'll talk about next. And yeah, the time of year that kind of goes hand in hand with where you're going to have it. If it's going to be in the summer, you got to think about sun. If it's any other time of year, think about the rain, really. One thing that is a bit more unique to perhaps more Indigenous or cultural events is a consideration of what's going on with protocol or what's going on in the community. And we've had a specific thing happen during our 3 years, and maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, so in our community, if there's anyone who passes away or if there's a funeral, we all stop everything and we don't really make any noise. We keep quiet so that we can go and support that family. We had our event planned for a Saturday and then found out that a family was coming in to do some funeral things, and we consulted with that family to see if the Sunday would work, if we could still do our event on Sunday, and they allowed us to do that. So depending on your community's protocols, it's always good to have a plan B or have a buffer of a few days for your event, just in case anything like that happens. Or sometimes here also we have weather events, so the boats can't come in or the flights can't come in. Or sometimes it floods here. Like there's all kinds of like things that like here we have to give a few days of the buffer just in case.
Yeah, exactly. So you really have to think about what your territory or whatever venue you're going to choose, location. These are things that you'll want to consider before booking the date, and that plays into your budget. That goes into well, you have to rent a venue, um, your artist fees, your equipment rentals, your marketing, insurance, permits, catering, et cetera, et cetera. There's things that you have to consider that will cut into the bottom line. We didn't do ticket sales. You may want to for your event, but if you are doing ticket sales, then you'll have to consider how you're going to market and sell those tickets. Is it going to be online, in person, in stores, social media, whatever, how you're going to get the word out and sell the tickets. Over to the crew. There's our lovely crew right there. Sorry, it's cool. It's cool. I actually was. I'm going to take a little bit of an off ramp here. I saw a Reese playing my guitar, and this guitar right here has taken me all over the world and Europe and like pretty specific cool locations, but nothing as cool as that festival that we put together, Lindsay, and it's brought and opened up a lot of doors. And I just thought about Reese playing his first show, and it was on this guitar in that location, and like that's pretty amazing. And we go to Brew Creek, and I wrote a song with my good friend Larissa there, and Quinn, and I meet Coralie and I meet Arlene and all, and I come to meet Lindsay and all these people that start to mean a great deal to me in my life. So it's like when you say we're getting together, we actually are getting together and creating like lifelong friendships and it's super rewarding and really moving and seeing that picture of Reese, like knowing what he felt in that moment and knowing that we got to play a role in that. That's come on. So there's our
My,
crew that makes that kind of stuff happen. Sorry, Lindsay.
can I add another little story about
Yes,
it?
please. Yeah.
So Zero, who,
Yes.
yeah. So Mike heard a youth from Alert Bay, I think, play at Gov, Guiding Our Voices, and recommended them. And then I kind of had that in the back of my mind, and I went out for June sports and ran into Zero and her and their mom, and ended up inviting them in to come play one year. And they came in and performed. And then we had this hiccup with a boat that didn't come in when it was supposed to. So there was Mike's band, I believe, and Zero down at the dock, and they had to wait for like 2 hours or something crazy. But they all started jamming down there. And I got a message the next day from Zero's mom saying Zero was over the moon. They could not believe that they got to jam with a band. And then from there, Zero was invited to a whole bunch of other shows. And they're only 15, like at the time they were 15. So it's really like just the connections that are made, like you said, are just like lifelong types of like it can change paths for these youth. Like, ah, that's why we do it.
Yeah. And that's why we have the smiles on our faces. And
Oh, and also see the dragonfly hat that Dennis is wearing? That's to keep
oh,
the horse flies away. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, he gave good reviews for that too. So he may look awesome, but yeah, he um I'll touch more on the crew as we go through these. Booking the artists, there's Reese again and Zero and James Vickers. This is come on. Like these three are in high school doing what they're doing. It blows my mind. It's not fair. That's my guitar too, James. He tried to steal it from me, so just keep that in mind. Um, but just so much amazing music coming out of the youth, and being able to have them up there and support them and be in a festival stage, that's super cool feeling. As far as choosing the artist, I went to Lindsay and say, are we going to go with a theme? Are we trying to go laid back? Because when I was thinking of a smaller number, smaller community, maybe we go with like an acoustic series or something. And it was like, no, absolutely not. Give us the full meal deal. We're doing a festival here. It's a rock show. It's a DJ show. It's sure an acoustic guy or girl, and we can do that. But having that in mind, just open the floodgates. Now, what we try and do is use and program Indigenous talent and have them at the front of the stage. I think that's kind of been our driving force. I think we've done 95% of all the bookings have been Indigenous led performance. So we have one cover band to close on the first year, and they could sing the doors off too. So that was nice to have them to kind of close that first year. I can't remember their name. Lindsay, maybe you do.
I wonder.
Sidewinders, thank you. Um, but they're at least Northern Island, so that was part of it too. But run sheets, I was told that people don't know what run sheets are. So run sheets are kind of a schedule for each person. So creating run sheet for an artist, being like, here's when you're catching your boat, here's or more specifically to the actual stage would be like, this is when your sound check is, and this how long your performance is. And so having a run sheet for the stage is important for the contracts and for keeping things in a pretty keeping it orderly as best as we can, because we're still on island time. So contracting artists, then that should include your accommodations, travel, the set length, the payment, the backline, the tech requirements, the merch. All this stuff is we're going to share this. So if you have any questions, you can ask that in the Q&A as well. But these are kind of considerations when you're booking the artists, or contracting the artists, I should say. And look at this. We got some pretty big names coming in too. Like there's those Murray Porter won a Juno back in the day. Uh, I mean, we're doing okay. We're like our little festival, we're doing okay. I'm pretty proud of that stuff. So, and there's my buddy Quinn. When I it was a heavy moment. I'll just get personal again. Sorry. But it is a very moving and different job to be able to do this. So, with Quinn, he was the first one to step on stage, and he was the first one to play. And when his voice was received and given back by the mountains and around I had to take a moment for myself, because it was such a moving experience to think that that doesn't happen very often. And so felt very lucky to have my toes where they were and my ears were uh, just blown away. So wonderful. This is Juliana, right?
Julia.
Julia. I even tried to ask you earlier. I'm not gonna say it and call you out on camera. I wouldn't do that kind of thing. Okay, this is Julia. I know Julia. She did this logo, and that's the
No, no,
banner. What? Am I wrong?
you're wrong.
It was at your house with her.
Julia.
Oh, she gets props right here. Julia, I take it all back.
Yeah, there's Julia. She's doing her lip sync in the corner there. We had a lip sync this last year. In the middle, Juliana Spear
Oh my God. I gave
did
her 3 years of props and she never corrected me. Every time I would say her, I was like, I love that banner. She's like, yeah, it turned out really well. And I'm like, yeah, you did a good job. Well
So
done.
No, Juliana Spire did the design.
Okay. Well, thank you, Juliana, and I'm sorry. And you're welcome, Julia. Nice. Well, the banner, not done by this person, done by another person. It turned out great. And then maybe you could take it with the elements. You can explain why it's not in year two or year three, because the elements that belong up there carried that banner away.
I want to say that story.
No, no. But we do have this logo forever. So I think that's every time I look at it, I'm really inspired by it. Um, cool. That's part of the promotion. How do you get the word out to your community? You got to develop a marketing plan to promote the event, regardless of whether you're selling tickets or not. You want people to know that you're actually doing this thing so they don't go out in their backyard and like, what is that noise? No, grab your garden chair and come on over. Let's have a good time because Gwa'yi Festival is going on. So whether that's putting the flyers up on polls or getting out on social media or local media or creating that marketing materials, it depends on the size and scope of your event. Here we go. Travel and accommodations. This was our beast. This is our beast. What are the challenges in transporting people and gear into your community? Well, as you can tell, there's a river and there's a beach and there are ATVs and that's just the first step or the last step in getting in.
Step 10 out of 50.
Yeah, that's right. You got to get up to Hardy to catch a boat or take a float plane into the dock. And then you get into the dock and you transport the gear to another boat to get in. That's true for most of our guests and most of our entertainers who are not in community. So that's a challenge that we would have to consider. We were lucky enough to have a Dennis sourced a flatbed boat a skid boat that was able to bring all the gear in on one load in year two and year three. Um, but it does play into that needing a community to actually help. So hiring the local boats. Um, how many boats are in community that do that shuttle?
Uh, like maybe 7. But remember the first year there was like one boat in the village at the time. Everyone else
Yeah,
left.
yeah, yeah. So we can schedule as much as possible, but people have their own lives, so there's going to be sometimes that was a little bit of a challenge, and maybe that's how we ended up with a beautiful jam session on the dock. That comes with musicians and people really understanding the complexities of coming into King Kong. So, um, things to consider. Do you have the vehicles to move people around your territory and the location you're going to be presenting in? Again, the accessibility. Do you need to hire planes, trains, and automobiles or boats? You'd probably want to book them early and pay attention. There was some things like life jackets. We had an artist come in with their Joey Styles has and Carson Gray. They have a family and they have a young family, and so we needed life jackets to fit their kids and. Um, it was a last minute consideration, sort of, because we had life jackets on the boats, of course, but we didn't have one for a baby. And so Lindsay, you were able to call, and Leanne was able to call the boat shops in Hardy, and we were able to source that. So there's little pivot points that, and you're going to find your own. It's inevitable. It's just going to show up, and those are, um, yeah, issues that you got to be proud that you will solve, and you will solve them because your community matters, and I'm sure your community will be able to source them. With the accommodations, there's no hotels or motels in Kincom, no real cabins. So we were playing with the community and having billeting, and that's a really beautiful thing too. I love staying with your Auntie Emily. She was a very sweet host, and it meant a lot. She made me maybe the best breakfast I had in years, and we watched Conan O'Brien together. And some of it was risque, but I looked over at her and I was like, oh, and she laughed, and I was like, yes, and we were in that moment together. So I love Auntie Emily; she's cool. Um, do you have those community members that are willing to open their doors and have the artists and whoever may come in their homes? And that can be a challenge. Um, the most important part, no, not the most, but an important part is sharing the conduct and protocol about your village. I'll leave that to you in a moment, Lindsay, to talk about maybe some of the house rules kind of thing. But knowing that we're hiring the artists that will respect that, knowing that we're hiring good people as well as good artists, because if they're not respecting the community, then we're certainly not going to have them back, and we certainly may even ask them to leave. That hasn't happened, luckily. Um, but it is something to factor in when you want to put on something in this scope, and it's your community is coming first. It's important to bring in good people, and I think we did. We've done a good job of it. But maybe I'll pass off the house rules for some examples to Lindsay.
Just here in Kingcome, we wanted it to be a dry event, so no drugs or alcohol. And then appropriate conduct. We do have some things we tell people when they come here, like they can't take photographs of certain areas, like our big house, and the obviously the graveyard. There's like certain places people can't go. So just sharing all of that up front so that people know what the boundaries are, I guess. Yeah.
Excellent. There's Peter. Peter's invaluable. He did a majority of our cooking along with the first year. Your mom, Laura put together, and the health center put together a nice spread for us as well, and helped finance the boats and everything. So shout out to them, obviously. Peter, super on the ball, nice dude. Nothing but good things to say about Peter. And we actually had a boat mishap with a family that needed to get back, and he went in the kitchen and made them all a later lunch. So we got that on the boat and sent that out to them. So shout out to him. I really respect how we were able to come together, and if there's an issue, we were able to solve it. That may need patience from some of our guests, but overwhelmingly, it's been a good experience, I think. And Peter was a huge part of that, and as is our food truck here with the coffee truck and stuff like that. That was a nice, a nice surprise. It was really good coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I was having like that quality coffee at that time of day out of a food truck in Kingdom, and like, oh, okay. Um, yeah, that brings me to catering. What kind of food are you going to serve? Are you going to serve food, first of all? Do you have to go after any licenses? And if you're going to serve alcohol, I'm not saying that you should, but there is licenses in place that you would need for these things, depending on your location, of course. And if you do serve food, are you going to offer a buffet or plated or food trucks or concessions? Just figuring out what food you're going to serve, where you're going to store it. You got to have enough freezers or fridges and all that, and coolers and ice and all that kind of stuff. Know how many people you're serving, if they have any dietary concerns, basic kind of banquet, wedding checklist kind of thing here. Making sure they have things to eat with, unless they're eating with their hands, then sure, go for that. Have napkins on hand. That's cool. That's cool by me. Hot dogs and hamburgers. Um, but if you're going to feed people, you got to figure out how you're going to do that. Seating, tents, shade tents, cooling systems, kids' activities, tables. That's all kind of basic stuff. You want to make sure that people have access to these things and enough of these things for the amount of people that you have there. The stage and sound. They are building our stage. And there's probably footage of them moving the stage the year after this. And we had a different stage on the first year. So um, beautiful stage as well. They did an amazing job, and then they did an amazing job of taking it apart and putting it back together. You could barely even tell. They did awesome. Um, again, Dennis, find yourself a Dennis. He brought in the sound system. But if you don't have a Dennis, then you're going to have to source these things. Backline is basically what the artist will be sharing. So that you got your amplifiers, your stands, your mic stands, a drum kit without the breakables. Drum kits, drummers usually bring their own cymbals. That's what's considered backline. So if you ever hear the phrase, is there any backline? It is that in concert, excuse the pun, with the sound system that will be provided. And again, this list is available. Labeling all the cables, trying to make it as clean as possible because you're going to have to wrap these up afterwards. There's our boy. That's Dennis Johnston. He also plays saxophone. Oops. Um, Joyful, love the dude. He, as mentioned, he helped source our power. That's very important. You're going to have to know not just power, like, oh, there's an outlet right there, and then I can daisy chain. Well, that's great, but you need to know how much power you need to power your speakers because a stage is a pretty beastly thing to draw the power from. So, you saw pictures of our stage, and I'll keep moving along. Lighting. Dennis brought in some lighting too. If you're going to have concerts that go into the dark, then you're going to want some lighting. That's yeah, it was really beautiful that ending to it. The post event, you're going to have to get people back on the boats and get them home safe and encourage them to leave only their footprints. Try and clean up after yourself. That comes to pre-event planning as well, having the appropriate garbage cans and things around. But post event, after the adrenaline is dissipated, it can be a challenge. And I know, Lindsay, you brought Leanne and some others in to help us with the post event blues, and that was great this year. It takes a village. And thank you. I really appreciate you listening to me ramble on, but it is one of the most beautiful experiences that I've ever been a part of. So I really appreciate it. And thank you, Lindsay. I love you.
Thank you, Mike. Love you too. I just have one more slide to share. Is that okay?
Of course.
It's just to wrap it up. Oh, that's not it. So just to summarize, like our festival, it has a special meaning for us. It's not just a music festival, it's a means of asserting our self-determination in our world of arts. It's a way of regaining our connection to our sister tribes, our nations. It's a way to bring our youth home. It's a way to stop the community from losing our community spirit. And it reflects back how we're shifting our worldview or center of our universe back to Ukwanalis. And it's a way to keep our land from being lonely. It has been healing for us, and it's a good way to give back to our lands that have protected us and provided for us. Like you said, Mike, we're singing to the mountains too. You can really feel it when we're there. It's just this like big experience because there's mountains around us, and you can hear it echoing. My uncle Bobby Joe said, our rivers are never meant to be lonely. And so we are bringing the people back by bringing the music back. And thank you, Mike. I just want also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but we're lucky to have Mike. He's a musician and a coordinator, so it's like two people in one. And then we also have Dennis, who's like five people. He's like a musician, he's a sound guy, a lighting guy, all the things. And I don't think we could have done it without them. Like I don't know. It's just like two people are taking care of like 7 jobs, and I'm so appreciative of that. And then I'm appreciative of like Leanne and Claire, who helped us again this year. It really helped with the logistics and keeping me sane. So thank you. And thanks to First Peoples for giving us this opportunity. Like, yeah, thank you. That is real. it really is exercising, our rights to our own arts, and that's supporting us. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to Lindsay and Mike for sharing with us today. It's so good to hear the story of your journey over these past 3 years and building this special gathering. Thank you all very much and have a great afternoon and evening.